Good evening. Tonight we're going to talk about the difficulty of government regulation and hopefully some real life examples. So let's start here. Okay. Oh man, tons of them flooding through. So let's start with the one that really got me going. Yesterday we were at this new company, right? Island buggy tours. So they have these coolies. We rent them out and some tourists and yeah. Here's why it's so dude. So you take all this. It's so funny. The mainland has corruption everywhere, state, local, whatever. Usually, local governments are less corrupt because people are more involved. It's real easy to be a corrupt senator. Now that I live on these islands with their own little government, you can see all this stuff way more clearly. We see all the corruption. There's a ton, something like 13 cabinet members that under our head have been indicted. I'm not sure how he's still the governor, but that's just how the island works. So now to start a business down here, it's wild. In Denver and Colorado in general, it takes about 3.5 minutes. It costs about $10. Sometimes Colorado has deals where they're like free businesses, go do it. They want that tax revenue, right? They don't want it to be difficult. They want as many people with their own LLCs and tax codes sending them checks every month. Down here, no idea why. It's insanely different. So they charge, I believe it's $600, and you have to fill out like your whole business plan, everything you can do. So importing these cool cars. All right, we have a rental spot right next to the cruises. We've got all this cool stuff, signage. All right. Someone goes, hey, can you rent this car? Can you rent that car? And they're like, no, your business is for four of these buggies. That's it. And if you try to do that, you have to go through the whole process again. You have to go past the board and get a new license for business, which can take months. So it takes months here to start it. So if anyone is out on this island and they're can't find a job or hurt foot, whatever the case is, and they're like, I want to start my own business. I want to start making jams. I want to start taking coconuts, in my backyard and creating coconut oil, whatever the hell it is. Instead of being able to do that quickly and getting your business up and running so you can pay your bills, so you can go find food for your family, it takes 6 months. So if you get fired or quit or can't work or whatever the reason is in your life, and you decide to go be an entrepreneur and check that out, this island says no, you can't do that. It's going to take 3 to 6 months. We have to review it. So if you're like, well, I just rented this commercial kitchen, yeah, and that's another thing. You have to have all like the leases already enacted, so you have to pay like 3 months lease a month, 3 months of your lease before you can even start. So it's hugely expensive. Um, Down here it's crazy. So back to the buggies, island buggy tours, and so and this business is technically classified as a tour and excursion. It's not a rental car company, but we literally just you sign the paper, we give you the keys, and you go drive off. That works. So the business is sitting here like, don't rent cars. You pay us for the excursion. We give you these points, and car is free. I guess I don't know how they classify it in Denver. Oh man, getting to being a landlord in Denver is hell. So a couple years ago they passed like a landlord fee, right? Now you have to pay money and you have to file taxes as a landlord. So now if you're paying taxes on all that rent, what the hell do you think is going to go to the cost of living and why everyone's leaving Denver now and saying it's too expensive? So the landlord's making say $1,000 a month for an extra room, right, in the basement. My parents, they rent out their basement. They're not in Denver, thankfully. So they rent out their basement to mitigate costs. It's a big house. We've all moved out. There's just two of them, and you pay taxes on it. But now that they're measuring it, that just means you're paying say 20-30% on that. It's going to raise their rent. So now you're like, oh, now I got to cover taxes on all that too. So now the rent's 1,200, 1,300. I mean, It's just ridiculous. And now you have to go file tax license and get all this landlord license and all that kind of stuff. Um, and a lot of people don't know how to do that, right? So becoming a landlord seems daunting and scary for a lot of people. So they may not rent that room out, which means there's less supply out there. Or they're like, I don't want to get a license, or I don't know how to pay taxes on this, or I don't know how to mitigate taxes on this, right? Because there's lots of ways. You get $1,000 a month, but you can write off tons of different things. And if you don't know that, well, you may not do that. So now we're increasing our taxes, decreasing supply by making it more difficult. Making things difficult always hurts people that don't know how to do it. The rich get richer because they have people to figure it out for them, or they go figure it out themselves. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you ain't got time to go read up on new laws and this and that, hire an attorney, draft documents, like all that shit. So it's just difficult sitting here and trying to be like, I'm trying to create a framework on how anyone in the world can become financially free, right? Not even financially, just like spiritually free, mentally free, all that stuff. And everything just runs into government regulations. If I had pay to paycheck, I just hit 18 years old. I'm making minimum wage. I'm maybe living with my mom trying to get out. Man, today's age, I feel like that'd be so difficult. And so, I mean, I just get how everyone's stuck in the rat race. You start out as like a dishwasher, and then you work your, Burger King, McDonald's, whatever, and you work your way up. And I feel like anytime you try to break free of that, can you imagine not being able to start your company for 6 months? You hate your job. And you're like, I want to quit. And I know how to make the best coconut smoothies in the world. And you're like, okay, I need to make $600, then wait 6 months while paying a lease in a commercial kitchen that I can't even use yet because I don't have my business license. It's just so frustrating. So the buggies can't call themselves cars or car rentals. They can't say rent me because I guess they have a cap on how many there are, or the rental car companies lobby them or something like that. So Priceline and Budget and Avis are like, no, they can't be rental car companies. It's really popular here because we have really crazy mountains, as you can see. And so we do Jeep tours, super popular, but you don't rent the Jeep. It's a tour. So you pay for the excursion and it just comes with a Jeep. So that's how they kind of get around it. But then the government is also issuing these licenses, and they're not, I don't know, maybe they are stupid, but so you get this business plan and it goes, hey, this is a cool excursion we're going to offer. They're going to take this car and drive it and they're going to go on the excursion, but we're not renting the car to them. Definitely not. They just drive it themselves on the excursion. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds good. We'll pass that. And it's like, well, why do we have a law that prevents rental car companies? Man, in the mainland, you just have Turo now. I mean, they probably had to pass some legal framework, but I mean, if I wanted to rent a car, it takes me an hour. All I have to do is verify my ID, verify registration. So there's so many things that we do. We pass all these laws trying to help people, but it's like they stop thinking here. And if they had just kept going, they'd be like, wow, this law is actually going to hurt them. If you make things difficult, people with money have an easier time to do it. So if you're trying to even this income inequality, you have, rich guy that wants to do a coconut smoothie company and a guy that is just struggling, 20 years old, trying to do a coconut smoothie money. And then you make the process super difficult. This guy's going to give up way sooner than this guy. And this guy, it could just be money. It could be time. It could be knowledge. He could just be like, oh, I don't know. They said I can't do it. I don't know why. And he's out. And this guy's like, okay, ask him why, whatever. And he's got money to throw at it. So it just kind of frustrates me how we try so hard to, I guess level it. We're trying to the playing field should be even, right? But there's obviously people that come into life with more money, more opportunity, whatever. And then there's people that have lived in generations of poverty, and trying to break people out of that. It's all the teach a man to fish or give a man a fish. I'm trying to teach everyone to fish, but it's hard to do that when these governments just keep getting in the way, thinking they're helping people. I don't know what they think. You pass just ways to make it more difficult to do things, and then it's like, well, the people that are going to overcome those barriers are the people that already have a little more free time or have a disposable income, or have friends that do it, or can afford an attorney to go do it for them, or afford an accountant to go figure it out for them. Like, could you imagine living your life in poverty and then you hit 20 and then all of a sudden you have to figure out, legal structure of a business. Like, if it's not taught to you, how the freaking heck are you going to know that? What's your legal structure? I don't even know what that means. Oh, okay. Well, what form of accounting are you doing? Accrual? Oh, I have no idea. Oh, well, how are you going to market? I don't know. What's marketing? Oh, which product placement are you going to use? Dude, like, it's just, there's so much stuff that isn't taught in school about, and all of that mostly was for entrepreneurship. But we can take this to anything else, even health. Just take it to your physical health, right? What are your macros? Are we taught macros in high school? I was not taught macros in high school. I don't even know if I had to take a health class. I took PE. I learned how to throw a dodgeball. I learned weird, unique games to play in a gym. I don't think I learned macros. I don't think I learned, fiber or nutrients or, good fat versus bad fat, like all that shit. So now you're trying to be healthy, and healthier people generally make more money and generally have more success. And that's science. And so now if you don't teach people how to be healthy, the fuck are they gonna do? They're gonna keep eating McDonald's, not knowing the difference. All right, I'm done with that rant. Gotta minimize government, man. Gotta minimize government. Ugh. And then you think, I grew up a lot of my life just going, oh, the government passed this law. They know more than me. They know more than me. And now it's like, I'm like, dude, these are just random people that are running our country. Like, these aren't like the smartest and the brightest. The smartest, brightest people are typically private enterprise. They're not working for the government. And no offense to government workers, because obviously we need them. But I mean, how many people with Yale degrees are going to work at a DMV? Not that many. And who's passing these laws? There is no like standard that you're a lawmaker or not. I mean, we all see Trump's just a marketing whiz, or he just knows how to talk and speak to people, but he's not the smartest guy on the planet. He's definitely not the healthiest guy on the planet. Spiritually, I would argue he's probably not the most spiritually sound person. Probably not the most mentally. He's probably not any form of health, and yet now he's running our country. And like now we have to all go obey his rules, even though sometimes he says and does things where like half the country hates everything right that he does, half the country loves everything he does. Let's say 48% each, and then there's like 4% that are like that question everything, and they're like, what the hell is that for? I think of the good stuff like tariffs. I just did a whole spiel on tariffs, and half the country's like, this is the dumbest thing ever, and half the country are like, it's the smartest thing ever, and nobody has a clue what tariffs are going to do or what the residual income is. And most likely Trump's using this for leverage, which is fine. I mean, that's not a bad tactic as a president when you have one of the biggest economies out there. Hey, you're going to not sell to us as much. I think we just saw Colombia cave, maybe Mexico, Canada, I don't know. If you actually implement them, there's a lot of long-term effects there. And we've used tariffs before. Like, it's not a new thing. Every president does it. It's not like he's just pulling random crap out like Obama did, Biden did. Everything has tariffs, different markets, different industries, different amounts of tariff. But yeah, it's crazy because nobody really thinks or learns or focuses. And I mean, you think Trump is an expert in tariffs? I'm sure he probably, hopefully, met with an economic advisor that sat down and was like, hey, this is a tariff. This is what it's going to do here in the short term. Here's the medium term. Here's the long term. And here's potential outcomes depending on the response for them. I freaking hope he did, but I kind of have a feeling he didn't. So hopefully he's meeting with someone now. But even advisors to the president, are they the smartest people out there? Are they the most motivated people? Do they have the country in interest? I guess that's the most important thing. Do they have the whole country in the best interest, or is it all themselves? Like AOC, fuck yeah, finally we passed a bill where Congress can't invest in the stock market. Now they'll just figure out ways around it, private equity, and invest in this and that. But it's a cool start. I mean, we all know what every president goes in with like a $5 million net worth and comes out with like a $500 million net worth. And we're like, oh, yeah, that $400,000 salary, you invested that well. And so that's going to be a cool one if she can get that passed and get Congress so they can't invest. But then it also, now, so you think one step further, now it's going to detract people that maybe need the money or want the money or whatever, are doing it for the money, which I guess we probably don't want politics, but it's going to reduce our pool. We have this many people that are like, I would love to be a senator. Say it's some million people. They grow up and they're like, I would love to be a senator. All right, so we have a million people to pick from that move forward and go and become senators, right? And only 100, we have 100 senators at a time, so 100 of them get it. And then, 2 years or 4 years later, then, the next million are like, hey, I want to be a senator. So now if you withdraw a reward, like, oh, I mean, that one, I'm still with it. That should not be a reward. But if you withdraw something that is a benefit to that job, now that pool may shrink. So now we're down to like 600,000. It's like, all right, now we have 600,000. Like, we're just limiting the quality and the quantity, probably quality as well, of candidates. It's almost like entrepreneurship, right? Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur because profit, freedom, time, and so those are rewards. It's a lot of fucking work to be an entrepreneur, and it's a lot of work to start. And the harder the government makes it, the less people will do it. But being able to have a population that innovates, has to make things efficient in order to survive in the marketplace is fantastic. And so in order to encourage all that innovation stuff, we have to have profit. I mean, we don't have to, but that's the whole goal, right? I want to be able to make a lot of money. They always say, you'll never be a millionaire on a hourly wage. Maybe you make enough hourly wage and then you can buy a rental property and do this and that, but that's essentially being an entrepreneur right there. So the least resistance we can get means it's easier for us to help the impoverished get into better opportunities. And that's the whole point of this entire 15-minute spiel. So how do we do that? How do we convince governments and everyone that we should make things easy? I mean, Colorado, forming an LLC. I mean, even like Wyoming and Nevada are way more difficult. But Colorado, you do a good job. Secretary of State, Colorado, man, forming business is so simple. $10, 3 minutes, you're good to go. Sign up. Here's your tax number. Start paying some taxes. It's great. A lot of good innovation there. Good model to follow. Well,